bit. So the next topic, which is very closely related to the one we were just talking about, is the word polynomials. You know how we just went over the terms term, coefficient, variables, and constant, and then we were putting them together in a long string of terms? Well, there's a very specific word for those long string of terms, which we're going to learn about next. If you have just one term, that is known as a monomial. And an example of that is if I just gave you like 4x to the power of 5, that's one term all by itself, it's a monomial. How can you remember that? You know, a monocle is like someone who has just the one like glass, that's mono. Binomial means you have two terms. An example of that is 4x to the power of 5 plus x squared. So I have two different terms there. The best way to remember that is a bicycle has two tires, and so binomials have two terms. Trinomials is something with three terms. An example is 4x to the power of 5 plus x squared minus 49. And you can remember that because a tricycle has three different wheels. So mostly we're talking about bikes here. And that's how you remember that. Now, anything more than a trinomial, we're going to call a polynomial. You guys remember when you learned about polygons? Shapes with many different sides. So poly usually refers to many. And so polynomials is something that has many terms. Okay, so what kind of questions can I ask you with this? Well, I could just list some terms and I can ask you to name, tell me how you would describe this. So for example, negative 2x to the power of 3 plus 5. How would you describe this? Monomial, binomial, trinomial, or polynomial? Abisha? Yeah, the best word would be binomial. How about something like negative 1 over 3x? What would that be? Yep. Monomial, good. And then how about something like negative 6x plus 8y minus 5 plus 7b? This would be a polynomial. Good. Yep.
So a binomial are also polynomials, but if more than three.
They can be described as polynomials, but I want you to be more specific. If it's 2 or 3 terms, anything more than 3, you can describe as polynomial. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is something called degree, a degree of a monomial. And the word degree is just a fancy word for talking about exponents. When I ask you for the degree of something, I'm basically asking you about the exponents of that question. When you have a monomial, the way you figure out degree is you either list it as is or you add up all of the exponents. For example, the first one, we have 4x to the power of 3. What is the only exponent in this question? Yeah, so the only exponent in this question is a 3, which means the degree of this is a 3. Let's look at the next one. Remember we were talking about what is the exponent if no exponent is actually written? It's automatically 1. So if you wanted, you could put a little 1 there and a little 1 there. Yeah, and so now we have an exponent of a 1 and an exponent of a 1. We're going to add those together to get a degree of 2.
And then
for the last one, we have c to the power of 1. So I like to write in my exponent 1s just so I don't forget them. And to figure out the degree here, we're going to basically be adding a 2, a 3, and a 1 to give you an overall degree of 6. Good. Okay, and that's the concept of degree, just looking at the exponents. Now, these are all monomials. What happens if you have a degree of a polynomial? So like a binomial, a trinomial, or something with more than 3 terms. It's exactly. You're going to actually figure out the degrees of each term individually and compare them. And whatever is the highest degree, that's the one that wins. Okay, so for example, in the first one, we have 6x squared plus 3x to the power of 1. So just like before, let's highlight all of the exponents and try and figure out what exactly is happening. So in the first term, we have an exponent of 2, and I'm just going to make that a little smaller. So we have an exponent of 2 and we have an exponent of 1. That means the degrees in this example are 2 and 1. But what is the higher degree? 2, which means the overall degree of this binomial is going to be a 2. It's kind of like a battle. Each term is looking at their degrees and the highest one wins. Okay, how about in the next example? What is the degree of the x to the power of 5? It's just a 5. What is the degree of 7x squared? Just a 2. And now this is a trick question. What is the degree of any constant? Everyone always says that and it's wrong. It's actually a 0. And you should make a note to yourself, when you have a constant, the degree is going to be equal to 0. It's just nothing there. So what's the highest degree in this case? 5, and that is the degree of the entire polynomial. All right, last couple of questions, and then we're done. We're going to talk about ascending and descending order. You guys, when you are ascending stairs or a hill or a mountain, are you going up or are you going down? Good. So when we're talking about ascending, it means we're going up. When you're descending down a mountain, are you going up or down? Down. Okay. So for these examples, for ascending, what we're going to do is we're going to start with the smallest exponent and we're going to go to the largest exponent. And when we're putting something in descending order, we're going to start from the largest exponent and then go all the way to the smallest exponent. So ascending means you go from small to large. Descending means you go from large to small. And what are you looking at? You're looking at the degrees. So let's look at the example. We have positive 2x squared plus 7 minus 5x to the power of 1 plus x to the power of 3. And in this example, we want to write it in ascending order. Ascending order means we're going to go from the smallest exponent to the largest exponent. What is the smallest exponent in this polynomial? The smallest exponent. It's a 0. And which one of the terms has a 0? Sorry? The constant, exactly. So we're going to begin by writing positive 7 as our smallest degree. What's the degree that comes after 0? Yeah, it's a 1. Don't forget the negative sign. We're going to write negative 5x to the power of 1. What's the term that comes after this? Yeah, and that's why I wrote down this little plus sign here, because you have to remember when you're writing it in order, you have to write it as positive 2x to the power of 2. Emily? No, you don't have to. And then what's the term with the highest degree or the highest exponent here? Yep. I think I heard positive x to the power of 3. Yeah. Okay, and this is an ascending order. You're starting from the smallest to the largest. Let's do the same thing in descending order. So remember, descending order means we're going from the largest degree to the smallest degree. And look, when you've already done the question, what do you have to do now? You just have to write it backwards. So you're going to start with positive x to the power of 3. You don't need to write the positive sign. Plus 2x to the power of 2 minus 5x to the power of 1 plus 7. Okay, so it becomes really easy if you've already done one of them to do the next. Okay, go ahead and try the example with this polynomial over here. I'll write the answer and then we're done. So we're going in ascending order and we're going in descending order for both of these. Okay, so ascending order, remember, means from the smallest exponent to the largest exponent. Hey, yeah, of course. So it's going to be negative 6. Positive 8x power 1 and positive x squared minus 4x to the power of 3 plus 3x to the power of 4. You want to make sure you include all of your terms. Don't miss any of them. Hey. What's that?
I just played it last week. So
Yeah. Yeah, what did you get for that one?
ascending order, I got negative 8x1 plus x2 minus 4x plus 3x4.
No, that's what I got too. Good. And then the next one would be 3x to the power 4 minus 4x cubed plus x squared plus x to the 8x to the power 1 minus 6.
Yeah.
Good job. Hey, I will be. Yeah. Yeah. You guys, I just want to make note of one thing. You can put things in ascending and descending order only when all the letters are the same. So in these questions, all the variables were the same. But in the previous examples we did, we had A, B's, and C's. You can't put them in ascending and descending order. In that case, you just put them in alphabetical order. And in some cases, you can't put them in any order at all, in which case you just keep them random. And I would only ask you to put it in ascending or descending order when all the variables are the same. So when you're done this question and you've checked your work, just keep in mind your homework is always written on the bottom left-hand side. So for this part, it's going to be page 305, numbers 1 to 19 and 35. And you guys have about 20 minutes. You can probably start some work now.